welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm broadcasting live from Florida in the United States, and I have to say it's exceptionally sunny and beautiful here today, as it always is in my heart. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, and I just love doing this show. We have our expert correspondents from the United Kingdom bringing us the latest and greatest updates as we celebrate the partnership between the United States and the United Kingdom. Let's welcome our panelists. Joining us from somewhere very green, it's DIANN FLOYD. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn.
Nice to have you with us, DIANN. Thank you. And joining us from the United Kingdom, it's Helena Chard, who always has a smile on her pretty face. Hello.
Oh, thank you so much. Lovely to see everyone. And I too have a very sunny heart today.
Yes, you do. Thank you again. And the man in yellow, who always comes to us with the latest in politics and the Kindness Project. Let's welcome Ian Pelham-Turner. Hello.
Good afternoon. I'm trying to... does that make so if I hold this up this is not,
he's
this
doing
is
his own production over there. I love it.
It's not an advert for Apple, but it might just
yes, you put some light on the subject. Thank you.
Not a problem.
And let's welcome our two-time award-winning recipient joining us from Scotland. It's Simon MacDonald. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello, I'm Ian. I paid my electric bill, so I don't need to shine the films in my face. And it is 42 degrees Fahrenheit here today, or 6 degrees Celsius, as we would say in our side. So it's starting to get chilly. It's woken up to the fact that winter is about here, but the sun is shining as well. So all's well with the world.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for taking the time to be here. And I have to say, I was thinking of each and every one of you earlier today. We interviewed a pastor from a ministry in Uganda, and he was just sharing about education, bringing education to the children there, and they don't have running water. And, you know, a lot of the things that we talk about, the purpose that we do this program, this platform, is to provide education, inspiration, and hope. And sometimes we have a few laughs with some entertainment, but we're all on the same page for kindness and letting people know that they're not alone. And just wherever you are in the world, we're all the same, going through the same things, but in different ways. So thank you again for taking your time and for being here with us today. So let's just go around quickly. I love doing this impromptu and just share something that's been going on in your world in the last week or so. DIANN FLOYD from the Green Room.
Yes, it is important to it. So in our world, everyone's getting ready for Thanksgiving, and in our particular family, we have to, when we all get together, it'll be about 40 of us, and we all share something that was very special about a family member that might be in heaven so that they're with us too.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Let's go over to Helena.
Gosh, so I've been doing lots of different things. I've been doing lots of research and sharing lots of royal news with various broadcasters. But actually, in my personal sort of side of things, I suppose the most recent thing I did, which is very appropriate because we've had World Kindness Day, I think, the other day. I helped a friend travel to see family abroad, and it's made me think about acts of kindness even more, and the kindness of strangers as well, because I just had the most wonderful experience with British Airways, just a person from British Airways, a real kind person, but maybe we can chat about that later. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. And Simon, how about you?
Busy week as ever, and so I'm keeping our fisheries on an even keel and trying to keep our fleet afloat. Try saying that if you've had a drink or two. It's not easy, believe me. But yes, surprise, through the post today, or yesterday it was, in fact, now one day runs to the next. I received my award. Difficult because the light's shining. But it's the 2022 Chairperson Award for Best Fishing Management Forum Chairman and in brackets Scotland, because it's an international award, this one. I'm the only recipient from Scotland this year for anything. So I'm really quite honoured and very, very pleased with it, because in actual fact, I won the same award last year as well. They say lightning never strikes twice. It's done it here. So I don't know, shall I go for the hat trick next year? I don't know. I don't know who nominated me either, but the person or the persons that nominated me. But I mean, I'm absolutely overwhelmed with it. It's amazing. I feel very humbled by it as well, because it's basically because I'm doing my job, and hopefully I'm doing my job that's going to benefit our fishing fleet and keep them all at sea, and and keep the wheels of industry turning.
Well, congratulations. Beautiful. Thank you. And the man who is shining his own light today using his Apple phone, Mr. Ian Pelham-Turner, tell us about you.
What can I say about me today? Yesterday we started the second of our new shows. I say we. Helena, unfortunately, yesterday was full of cold, but we soldiered on to do this show, and I think it's very important at the moment. And Helena agrees. And when we started this show last week, is to really support Albanians in Britain at the same time, because we think that their whole image is being denigrated by really bad press right now that is not necessary. So yesterday again was another attempt by BOEHM and myself, an Albanian lady presenter, to actually create a show that shows values to all communities, really, at the same time. So that was good. And I'm back with you, I think, later on today again as well. So it's a busy week, but you know what? I feel blessed. I feel blessed to be able to do all this. And I was talking to someone this morning, and this lady was just a little bit concerned about all the things that were going wrong in her life. And then I said, well, look, you've got a roof over your head. Yes. You can feed yourself. Yes. What is more to need in life, other than friendship? So I feel in a very positive frame of mind at the moment.
Oh, that's beautiful. Brilliant. Thank you. I love it.
Just to say as well that our show is called The Voice of Great Britain. I think Ian just didn't mention the name. Voice of Great Britain.
Where can people find it and watch it?
Well, hopefully soon. we may be talking to you.
Okay. Well, you know where to find me. Thank you. I'll share just two pieces of news for me. So on a personal level, I had received some health news and this treatment plan, and it turns out that when the test results came back, it didn't actually match with what the expert said was going on. So I am in a very good place, and I am very thankful that the sun is shining on me. So I want to be grateful about that.
Oh.
And the second thing is that I had a lovely conversation with a dear friend and have some great ideas about how do we expand our presence in 2023. So working diligently on that as well. So there are my updates. Thank you. Okay. Let's move into the news. What is going on over there, Helena?
Lots and lots of things. Well, there's lots of royal things going on. I think I'm going to start with, happy 74th birthday to His Majesty King Charles III. So there's been lots of in London, you always hear like the band of the household cavalry playing Happy Birthday at 11 o'clock outside Buck Pow, which is always lovely. And also lots of gun salutes everywhere, fired in Green Park and Tower of London, I think. And then I think also the Scottish Guards playing Happy Birthday, but sort of a bit of a low-key time for him on his real birthday. And he released, or the royal family released, a lovely new photograph, which was captured by Chris Jackson, who's a very good photographer. And it's a picture of King Charles, almost profile, sort of leaning on this huge oak tree. And I think, to me, I absolutely love the picture because the oak tree is far bigger than him. So it's almost like it's of the oak tree, and it sort of sums up really how our world and nature sort of can live without us. But we need them. We need the world really, and the way it works. So I absolutely love that picture. And he's also become, I think it's the Ranger of Windsor Great Park, the new Ranger. So he oversees the upkeep. It's a wonderful park that we can all go and visit, and it's got deer and wonderful wildlife and trees, and it's really beautiful. So that's a lovely position that he's given himself, I guess, that he's inherited from his late father. So it's been a fun time, but with all the fun, there's been lots of rocky situations as well. Everyone's been talking about how King Charles is nudging Prince Harry and Prince Andrew out, and there's lots of upset going on, and it's to do with the Regency Act. And the Regency Act states that there's councillors of state in place, and basically that's people to help the king, sovereign, if he's sick or if he's abroad. And it's his spouse, so Camilla, and then the 4 most senior royals in the line of succession. And what he's done, he's spoken to Parliament, and he said that he wants his siblings, so that's Anne and Edward, to also be introduced to help him out, which I actually think is very clever, and I think actually a very sensible thing to do, because obviously Harry and Andrew are not working royals. So that's been introduced, but as such, you know what the media's like. They grabbed hold of it and said it, snubbed everyone out and various things. But I think it's a clever thing to do. And actually, I don't think it's not bad at all. And I don't think it's constitutionally that significant, because it doesn't affect the line of succession. So I personally think it's all good. So that's a few of the things that have been going on. And obviously we've had, the Festival of Remembrance, which is something very, very special to the late Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth II. I always want to say Her Majesty, but it's the late Queen Elizabeth II. King Charles has been laying a wreath at the Cenotaph at Whitehall. And the whole Festival of Remembrance Sunday took place, which is obviously his first special time. And also the Festival of Remembrance, which took place at the Royal Albert Hall, which is something really very special. And I did notice actually that all the royals were wearing 3 poppies. I'm actually not too sure why they were wearing 3 poppies. I don't know whether it's for the Navy or the different parts of the... I'm not sure. That's one thing I'm not sure about, but I need to look that up. So lots and lots of things have been happening, and far more, but I don't know. What does, maybe pass back to see, has anyone got anything that they would like to add about the Regency Act, or happy birthday, King Charles, and various things that have been going on? Maybe Ian would like to interject.
Yeah.
I think with the royal family at the moment, they're going through all sorts of changes, as you can imagine, and I think there's a lot of intrigue going on. I think the Crown has caused quite serious issues, and that they're not very happy about that at all, that's for certain. There's been a lot of condemnation in the past few days on Prince Andrew again, and how he treated people, so that's not been going too well for Andrew. And I think, you know, the reality is, do you know, the hardest thing for me is still not to call him Prince Charles anymore. You know, for most of my career, it's been Prince Charles, and all of a sudden I've got to call him King Charles III now. And it happened yesterday, right in the middle of doing something, and it just went as Prince Charles again. So I still find it hard to actually make that differential. But he looks like he's doing well at the moment. Somebody threw some eggs at him the other day. You know, that I think was not the greatest thing that we could do for our new king, quite honestly. And it was done by a student who thought this was terribly funny to do something like this. But I think, you know, the reality at the moment is we're going through a period of transition. And I think, you know, in Britain itself, right now, we actually need to sort of have harmony, collaboration to come together. And I'm sure Helena and Simon probably think the same.
Yeah, that yes, I mean, we all sing happy birthday to King Charles. I have the same problem as you, Ian. I can't get the Prince Charles out of my mind. It's you know, we're going to slip up on that one frequently, I think, the way it's going just now. But he's going to be in the fortunate position very soon that he will have 2 birthdays in the year. Just like Her Majesty the Queen had 2 birthdays in the year. There was her actual birthday and then the official one, which coincides with the coronation. So when Charles is coronated, if it's such a word, then he will have a 2nd birthday. So yeah, double the cards, double the presents, double the cake, you know, yippee. But the 3 poppies, Army, Navy and Air Force. I believe that is the correct thing there. I actually wore 2 poppies. I had the traditional red one for remembering the fallen servicemen, but I also had the purple one, which is for in remembrance of the animals that were killed during the wars. And in particular, the horses in the First World War. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of horses, you know, killed and seriously maimed and so on through the war, carrying out their duty for king and country. So, you know, we mustn't forget that the animals played a very important part in the war, and they still do as well, in particular with sniffing out mines and explosives and so on. So you know, they're definitely worthy of recognition. A number of people who stop me and say, what's the purple poppy all about? So I had to explain. And it's something which I think will catch on eventually. People will realize that the animals played a big part.
I think that leads on to another quite lovely story this week. You know, sometimes we're trying to find some happy stories as well. And the story came up this week, which unfortunately, because I was trying to find the clip for you, but and we played it on the show yesterday. And it's a story about in Leicestershire, which is in the Midlands of England. An owner was taking his dog out, Rosie, for a walk in the park. And someone exploded some fireworks in the park itself as well, and Rosie took off and just disappeared. And of course the owner was frantic with what had happened to Rosie. And then scene number 2 is that Rosie is seen coming through sliding doors by a video camera in the ceiling, and she ends up in her local police station. It's a true story. I mean, you couldn't make this up. And, you know, so she finds her way into the police station. She has a bit of a sniff and a bit of a look around, and then she settles herself down. It's almost as if she knew that she would be safe inside the police station. And then obviously the police made a fuss of her because she's such a gorgeous collie dog. She was such a beautiful dog, and of course she had the dog tag around her with the telephone number on as well. So the very relieved owner came and picked up Rosie the dog, And now she's made news headlines right across the world because, you know, the stranger than fiction of a dog sort of disappearing out of a park and finding, that's the thing, it wasn't close to the park, this police station at all. Finding the police station, you know, I mean, they say that dogs are smart, but this dog has got to be super smart.
The Border Collie is one of the smartest dogs around. I mean, yeah, I mean, handing itself in to the police is really something.
I love it.
Giving another
that
poll, "Cuff me, take me away."
Oh, thanks for sharing that with us. I have a question. We just kind of touched on a Netflix series, which we're not going to really mention or go into. But in addition to watching this show every week on Wednesdays, how can people educate themselves on the history of the United Kingdom and the history of the royal family? Any suggestions?
Keep watching this show, I think is the answer to that one. Better than Mr. Google.
All right, keep watching. Any other suggestions?
I think probably Helena's got some ideas as well about, because I you know, the two of us, we do things quite regularly as well, and I think you've been doing quite a bit recently, haven't you, on the royals, Helena?
I've been doing quite a lot, research as well as broadcast. Just that people always want opinions as well, like talking heads, people to go in and sort of confirm if certain things are correct or not correct. And it is really hard, Dr. Jacalyn, sometimes to sort of decipher what's true and not true. Because especially now as well, it's something I didn't realise. I mean, there's huge organisations that pump out masses and masses of this spam stuff on social media, which is really basically to bring companies down or bring, I don't know, even countries down. So within these organisations, I suppose it's what's it called, trolling, isn't it? And it's really big business. I mean, it's quite, I'm probably not explaining it correctly, but people can just basically put out whatever they want to. So it's a hard one, but you know, we've got, I mean, obviously we put out news. I do a huge amount of research, so I'm always like crossing off against lots of things if our sources are not there to give us correct information. On the whole, BBC is pretty accurate, and obviously there is the royal family website. So there are various sources, but you know, I always think do not take things as is. You know, if you're not sure about things, always research or ask someone else. I mean, again, going back to the Crown, and you know, it's obviously a lot of it total fiction, and the Crown and all the actors in the Crown say, hey, the whole world knows it's fiction. Well, you know, the whole world doesn't know it's fiction, and it's called a big rumpus within the royal family, and also it's perception, and perception is very, very important. So all this thing about them not putting a disclaimer is really wrong. They really have to, and it brings me back to whoever it was that said absolute, you know, codswallop and complete nonsense on stilts, and I stand by that.
Thank you, Helena.
I agree about nonsense on stilts. I've been sharing that phrase over and over. I love it. It is, people might say, oh, the whole world knows it's historical fiction, but it's really true. And I've observed in some schools, this is a while back, where instead of documentary films being shown in history classes, they're actually using Hollywood films. And when I was critiquing the teacher, because that's what I was supposed to do, I said, you realize that's not true. That's not how the Trojan War happened. And it didn't happen in a day, in 45 minutes, you know. And the teachers go, oh, but the kids like this kind of history so much more. And I thought that was very tragic. So I hope movies about England and everything isn't happening in your schools that are Hollywood style movies, because I think it's filling the kids with the wrong message and the wrong information.
I think the reality at the moment as well, so close to the death of the Queen, that a lot of people in Britain, I think, this is in quite bad taste right now as well. Because I mean, I've never watched any of the series, to be perfectly honest. Well, I lived through most of it, so so I know the real Crown, in reality. But I just feel at the moment, I don't know, it is it's not reality television, but it is, and from what I hear about things, sometimes, that they didn't get things right at all. And I was listening to Paul Burrell the other day, who was the Diana's butler and also knew the Queen very well. And I think he lives in America now. And he was very upset with the latest episodes of the series, because he said they were so inaccurate in all sorts of things. But you see, it is just a drama doc, in reality. But the problem nowadays, we have so many of these drama docs and reality TV shows that infamy turns into reality, and people just believe it. And I think the reality at the moment is, I think Charles is trying very hard to get a good press. He's trying very hard to press the flesh, very much more than he's ever done before. And so he's really trying hard to actually, start building a rapport as well. He's obviously changing things to his satisfaction. And I think, one of the biggest things that will happen very soon, I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but I suspect he's not going to move from where he lives in London. And I think Buckingham Palace could be turned into a museum. And there's a lot of talk that they're going to turn it into a royal museum and a function place where other people can actually use the facilities as well. So we might be able to do a show from Buckingham Palace one day.
Oh, how cool would that be?
It sounds like fun. We do have a comment. I just want to acknowledge this is the gentleman I interviewed earlier today. Pastor Stephen is watching from Uganda. So thank you for being with us, Pastor.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It was just one thing that popped into my head. Because the Crown has had so much money thrown at it, and it's shot incredibly well. It's another thing as well that it is so good that it makes it even more believable, if you know what I mean. And it saddens me in a way. We want them to put that disclaimer, we really do.
I think Ian had it absolutely right, though. I mean, the release of the series has just come too hot on the heels of the demise of Her Majesty. I really feel that they should have held off on the release of it. But then, money talks, and sadly, this is what it's all about.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one thing I wanted to mention, because I had never heard of it before. And by the way, I was watching while I was exercising, and I found I was going faster and faster because I was getting more and more upset. But anyway, there apparently was a telephone conversation that was recorded, and somehow somebody got a hold of it and then released it. And I don't know if you're aware of it. I don't want to go into the details, but I just thought how, I don't know, did they even have to put that in there, this love conversation that took place that this reporter overheard and then released? And I don't know. I think the timing is just not appropriate.
There was a lot of intrigue at the time, because there was quite a famous conversation, which I won't repeat, as you say, between Charles and Camilla. And it was supposed to have been picked up by a radio ham, an amateur radio ham, who somehow picked up the as it was going and recorded it. And for me, obviously, I loved Diana. These days, I value Meghan very much because I think she is, the epitome of Diana. And I think, I don't know, it's salacious, isn't it? But to a point where at the moment, we're going to want everything in the toolbox to promote Britain. And whether that will enhance it or not, I don't know. Whether that will encourage more people to come across to Britain, I've no idea. But I think at times, we get to a point where yes, I mean, there are times when the royal family do silly things, and Helen and I spend more time, I think, trying to sort of maneuver the messaging round so at least something is positive out of this whole thing. When they do the most daftest things as well. But as I say, I think at the moment, my advice at the moment is just lay off the royal family a bit. They've got enough troubles as it is. I hope, because the next big blockbuster is going to be Harry's book that's coming out in January, and everybody's very concerned about that as well. About what he's going to finally say in the book, and I just feel at the moment that sometimes who would want to be a royal?
Absolutely.
No prospects of promotion for Charles. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's just you become king. You don't go any further than that. So a bit of a dead end job, I suppose, in that respect, isn't it?
I just wonder whether he's going to. There's this famous story about the Queen months before the coronation, and the crown that she had to wear for the ceremony at Westminster Abbey is very, very heavy. It's encrusted with jewels, and I think there's something like about 120 diamonds and jewels actually encrusted, including the Koh-i-Noor diamond, if I remember rightly, in the crown itself. And for months beforehand, when she was bathing Charles and Anne, in the bathroom of a night time, getting them to bed, she used to wear the crown as well to actually get used to the weight of the crown. And I just wonder whether Charles is doing something similar, where I just have this strange image that came into my head just now, where he's in the bath on the morning, and he's got the crown on as well. No, that's probably taking it too far.
The image.
Sorry, we apologize for any children who are watching.
I'm visualizing him out in the garden. He's a passionate gardener, and he's out there pulling up weeds with the crown, and he's nodding forward and trying to stop it from slipping over his face. But it is exceptionally heavy. But there's been a lot of controversy about the Koh-i-Noor diamond because of the implications of slavery in the past, and they are wondering, should the Koh-i-Noor diamond actually be taken out of the crown for the coronation? Whether they put it back in again, I don't know. But certainly there was quite a bit of a stir around that for a while. But yes, I mean, Ian, it does conjure up images. I'm just trying to imagine the Queen there with the crown on, doing the ironing, cooking over the stove. It sort of doesn't even come into the realms of reality somehow. It could be a very good sketch in a comedy show, I'm quite sure.
Well, Helena knows a very good photographer who does these types of, and I can't remember, what's the name of the photographer again, Helena? And she does all the lookalikes.
She does, yeah. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about her, but her name is Alison Jackson.
Oh, okay.
That's as much airtime as I'm going to give. Talking about the diamond and everything, actually, and going back a little bit to something Ian mentioned about being in York, and King Charles and Camilla as well. We're doing obviously a meeting, and we talked about the student who threw eggs, and he did actually throw eggs. And it was to do with the slave trade, talking about all the years ago, etc. And that was the reason behind it, having a go in that respect, because obviously it's discussed a lot, and repatriating and various things. That's sort of quite an in-depth discussion in a way, but I don't. Anyway, that's for another time, I think. But when in York and all this happened, they both went to, that's King Charles and Camilla went to York Minster, which is a sort of wonderful, wonderful place. Quite similar in a way to Westminster Abbey in a sense, but in York. And in fact, we'd been discussing a while back about memorials for the late Queen Elizabeth II. And in fact, the first statue has been erected there outside York Minster. And the stonemason that created it is a chap called Richard Bottoms. I don't know if anyone had seen it, but it's quite striking and huge. And it's of Queen Elizabeth in her order of, what is it, the garter, cloak, that's it. But I always find when you see these like stone sculptures, they're quite austere. And I thought that about, late Princess Diana's sculpture as well. They sort of somehow sculptures miss the prettiness and the softness that some people have. Like obviously late Queen Elizabeth was very pretty, but I don't think that comes over. But it's great to think that at last that's the one that's come out. And there's obviously going to be different sculptures, I imagine, in different cities. So yeah, that's a bit of good news.
I think it's important at the same time, though, to how someone got close to throwing something at Charles. Where was his security? Because the next, you see, the problem with doing all these things, it's like a student prank. But what it then does is it tells Al-Qaeda and all the different terrorist organizations that he's not well protected. Now, I would have thought the royal protection around him should have been a lot quicker in protecting him, because you see the problem with doing things like this is that it then sets a precedent, and the thing that I look at is I don't see it as a piece of fun. I don't see it as condemning slavery, and there's much better ways of talking about that if they wish to. What I see it as is as a ridiculously stupid act that actually shows people who may want to seriously hurt a member of the royal family that they're not well protected in crowd situations. And we have to remember that as well. And Charles obviously was slightly bemused, and there was an assassination attempt on Charles years ago, and someone let off a gun at him, and Charles froze. He was on a stage, he was on a platform, and he froze, and the detective, his detective literally pushes him bodily off the stage to sort of cover him as well. And so we have to be very mindful at times. It's like the same thing with any presidents or anything. People in power, they are people as well. They are human beings as well. And you may not agree with their policies or their history, but at the same time, to do things like that is not something that I take as a funny thing to do. I take it as something that can have serious implications.
Absolutely. It's yeah, I mean, looking at the footage again, which is obviously in our newsreels, it's shown over and over and over again. You know, the security did jump in, but I think they looked quite shocked and taken aback at the time. It caught them off guard, quite literally. So I can imagine that there'll be some discussions going on in the background about how they're going to tighten this up so it doesn't happen again, or a worse scenario. On a lighter note, since Charles has become king, he's had to shed all his other titles and dukedoms, etc. So William is now the Duke of Cornwall, and so he has the Duchy of Cornwall estates. Highgrove House, which still belongs to King Charles, falls under the ownership of the Duchy of Cornwall. So effectively, William is actually King Charles's landlord. I hope he keeps up the rent.
That is a lighter note.
I didn't know that. It's interesting.
And he probably won't be getting any of this free Cornish cream that no doubt he's been lapping up, you know, over many, many years, because the Duchy of Cornwall is probably one of the biggest producers of crown products that you can buy in places like Buckingham Palace. And Helen and I last year were at Buckingham Palace, and we sampled some of the ice cream delights that come from the different sections of the thing as well. And I got some very nice chocolates. I think you gave them to me, Helena, actually. I got some very nice chocolates from Buckingham Palace this year as well, so which were devoured quite quickly, unfortunately. But yeah, the quality of the food is absolutely superb.
Yes.
And it'll be very interesting to see if they do turn it into like a conference centre and a royal centre itself. You know, we could say we've been dining in Buckingham Palace. You know, we give ourselves a bit of a.
Yes, of course, I mean, the Duchy oatcakes are absolutely out of this world, and they go so well with my smoked salmon. You know,
I knew it was coming up. I just knew it. Smoked salmon. Oh, we're on the subject of food again. So it must be time to close out, unfortunately. We've got another show coming up, but I do have a couple of announcements. Mr. Ian Pelham Turner will be joining us in just a few hours on The Business Talk Show with Mr. Alcini. This is the show graphic for that. And we're going to be talking about what today, Ian? The economy.
The economy, my goodness me, you know, or the lack of it in our case.
It's going to be an interesting show. So do join us at 2 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And also we have a special announcement of a new program coming up. It's called A Taste of Excellence. This is a program in partnership with the British School of Excellence and Philip Sykes. He is hosting a show called Train the Trainer, A Taste of Excellence. So for all of you out there who are interested in learning something fascinating about how to become an internationally accredited etiquette coach and create a business and life you love, I hope that you'll join us right here, wherever it is you're watching from today. You can watch on USA Global TV and radio. You can also watch on the British School of Excellence. And that will be from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, November 22nd. So do join us for that. All right, let's go around. Last word, lightning round. Diann, Floyd, BOEHM.
I actually did see the statue that Helena was talking about, and I was quite impressed. But like Helena, I was like, well, she has a softer face. So, but I'm very excited that I got to see the king receive the miniature statue. That was really cool.
Thanks, Diann. Helena?
I'm going to go back to World Kindness Day, which was the other day, and because it made me think about acts of kindness and just really kindness of random strangers as well. And I just feel it's just so important to always be doing kind gestures. And so many people have been doing exactly that. And I don't know, from Kate Winslet donating loads of money to somebody who needed it to pay electricity, to general little things you can do. I spoke earlier about British Airways. There's a wonderful lady called Jan who actually upgraded a flight and paid for a flight to travel the next day. And she was just somebody working at British Airways. And I thought, what a wonderful gesture to actually to do something that she's not really able to do, but to pay for it on top personally out of her own money. Incredible. So thank you to Jan. But also, we are actually in Anti-Bullying Week here in the UK. And again, one of the things that we hear time and time again from, it tends to be younger people that would take their life, is be kind. And that's something that we never forget, I know, but it's always good to share, just to share it, just as a reminder.
Absolutely. We can't say it enough. Thank you. Simon.
Well, the festive season is coming up. It is in every television advert, it's in every shop, it's in every magazine and so on, to remind us that Christmas is just around the corner. So it is the time to be merry. But if you drive, don't drink. If you drink, invite me over.
Do they have to bring their own smoked salmon, though? That's what they want to know. And still waiting for smoked salmon, Mr. Ian Pelham Turner.
Absolutely. I don't say it anymore. You know, I mean, should some come down, you know, God's will provide, you know, then that'd be nice. Very, very quickly, at the moment, I am getting festooned by parakeets at the flat. And, you know, all the way through you've been talking this afternoon, I can hear this tap, tap, tap on the ceiling. And I'm, you know, the roof of the flats is just above me. And a group of parakeets have made a nest for themselves in the roof of this block of flats. And this cheeky parakeet has got this way at the moment of hanging upside down on the guttering outside and then peering in at me, watching me doing whatever I'm doing.
I would love to see that.
And do you know what? And even worse. So I go to sleep at night, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I can hear this pat, pat, pat. You know, the bedroom is the other side of the building. And it's these damn parakeets, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, tiptoeing across the windowsill to get up onto the roof. So I don't know why they've suddenly come. It's very colourful, but you know, I don't know. Well, that's my story for the day. You know that you know, parakeets have taken over my life.
I think they're searching for fish.
You have to be careful what you're doing at the time when the parakeet's leaning over the gutter. It might have a camera.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you all for sharing and for bringing forth all the education information. We have a couple of comments that I didn't get to from our pastor friend. He types, "Thanks, Ian, for the great work. I wish to have your digital photograph at his Grace Orphanage Ministry."
Okay.
Any comment?
Well, words fail me, Jacalyn, and that's not very often, as you know.
Well, that was very nice. Thank you, Pastor Stephen.
Bless you.
All right, we are signing off for this week. Our next show is coming up. It's Talking Heads with Mr. Roland Friedel, followed by the Earth Show. And then, of course, Mr. Ian Pelham Turner will be back to join us for the Business Talk Show. And then Wild at Heart, our show for men, by men, about men. Thank you again to each of you for being here, my dear friends. I really appreciate it. And to all of you watching and listening, thank you for your support and your loyalty. Be kind, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.